Good day and welcome to Creating an Iron Strong Mindset series. As you know, in this series we focus on different areas of life that sometimes comes to us as a challenge. So in this edition, we are going to be speaking about an area that probably will be of huge interest to you, which is finances. So the whole purpose of this video is for people who probably at the moment you feel that money is not enough. You wish you could do more to earn money. There are a few tips, tricks and hacks in this video that can help you with that. Or maybe for those of you who feel like, you know what, I have enough money, but I don't seem to be able to find that balance between pursuing financial success and finding happiness in life, and then this video would probably be of huge benefit to you as well. Now, before we get started with this video, I have a quick disclaimer for you. I am by no means a financial wealth expert. I am not the person to help you invest in share markets or propose to you some get-rich-quick schemes. I think we have enough people out there to do that for you. Instead, I'm just gonna talk to you about some realities of life. I'm going to speak to you about experiences from my own life, from the lives of my participants, from the work I have done over the last decade with people who have struggled, whether it's with money, with the pursuit of finances, or having them all and yet not finding that delicate balance called happiness in life, right? So before we get started, let me just introduce you to the Box Learning series, or the Box Virtual Learning Process. And for those of you who have seen this video of the Box Virtual Learning Process, great, we are going to move on. But before that, for those of you who have not, I encourage you to pause this video for just a moment, quickly watch this video on YouTube, or you may go back to the welcome pack that you have received via email. You have the link over there, and watch this video because it will give you an idea of what to expect throughout the self-learning journey with the box training. Now, let me just talk to you a little bit about the learning agreements, or rather anything that's going to help you make your learning process more comfortable. Number one, put your phone away, guys, because the phone will interfere with the learning process. So just put it away just a moment. It's not going to take anything more than half an hour of your time. Next, please listen with your earphones. I think it's much clearer through the earphone. If you have a pen and paper, I think it will make your learning experience a little smooth, because from time to time, if you want to take notes or if you want to write down some questions to ask me or email me after the learning, you can also do so. If you feel that this video benefited you, great. I would recommend that you encourage your colleagues, your friends, your loved ones to go over to our website www.trainingboxmalaysia.com to purchase this video online, and they too can get started on this self-learning journey. Now, let's get down to it, shall we? Now, as for you, you are sitting here, some of you are probably watching this video because you have come online, you have paid for it through your own pocket, and you are excited to find out what you're going to learn. I will answer that shortly. Some of you are watching this video because your management has asked you to watch it, and you are now wondering WIIFM, which basically means what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of this video? How is it going to add any value to my life, all right? So if you're wondering what's in it for you, WIIFM, let me help answer that question. First things first, it's going to help you create a fresh realization about money. Now, money is something which is very personal. Money, the way I look at money, the way you look at money is very different. How much I need, how much you need is very different. But it's just going to give you a fresh spin, a different perspective to money. That is the first learning that you're going to take from this video. It's going to help you find that balance. I'm sincerely hoping it's going to help you find that balance. And there will be two tools that you will be taking away from this video, which I'm very excited to share with you. Now, as far as money is concerned, or finances is concerned, I have a piece of good news for you. A lot of us look at money as a challenge, and every time I do a live seminar or a workshop, and if I were to ask a class of 20 to 30 people, how many of you want more money, I can be almost certain that 95% of them would raise their hands, and the balance 5% may not have raised their hands because they probably feel they have enough, Or they are thinking it's a trick question and they don't want to answer the question just yet. Finances, although it can be a challenge, it is a controllable challenge. So as you can see here, challenges in life is divided into two. We have controllable challenges, uncontrollable challenges. Good news about challenges is there is always a workaround. So I have put money here as a controllable challenge. You may not have enough at the moment, but there is always a way to find enough. And that's what we're going to be speaking about in this series. We are here to talk about money. But shall we just take a quick break from money and talk about life instead? So what got me very interested in this spin of finances is looking at people who have lived it all and people who have been through life, who've been through the ups and downs, who have gone through that mad rush for success, for financial freedom, for everything, to find out whether it was all worth it, whether the societal pressure of earning as much as we should is truly worth it. And my research brought me to this wonderful Australian woman by the name of Bronnie Ware. And Bronnie Ware is a nurse and counsellor who worked in palliative care, which basically involved taking care of the terminally ill, most of them who barely had 12 weeks of their life left. And when she sat with them, her job was basically to provide counseling, to provide some stress relief, and I don't know whether we can even begin to imagine what must be going through their mind at that stage. And what Bronnie did was, as she sat with them, as she counseled with them, as she helped them get through a very painful process, she also talked to them about life and what advice they had for the younger generation. What advice did they have for people? Her experience prompted her to write a book titled The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And the most common regret most of them had was this: I wish I pursued my dreams and aspirations and not the life others expected of me. This was the most common, and I think that this is something quite a number of us can relate to. And when life is ending, it's probably quite easy to see all the dreams that we had, but the ones that we didn't have courage to pursue always truly stands out at that point, according to Bronnie. In her experience, she also had one patient who made her promise that Bronnie, no matter what, will pursue whatever dreams she had, despite what others would say. And the name of this patient was Grace. Now, Grace was in a long, very unhappy marriage. Towards the end, her husband was put in a nursing home, and just as Grace thought she could probably begin living life, Grace was terminally ill and was put under Bronnie's care. This is one learning that we can take from it, which is do what you want. Do what you want, find a way to make your dreams a reality, and do not let the voice of others press you down. Because when you reach a stage where these people have, when you are on your deathbed, when you are in your dying days, the voice of other people may not matter. And then came the next regret. And this regret says, I wish I didn't work so hard. Now, this is by no means Bronnie or me advocating all of us just take a chill pill and relax. But what was actually pointed out to Bronnie through her research was this came from every male patient that she came in contact with, and most of them were breadwinners of their family. Most of them were busy making a living, and in this process they felt that they spent very little time with their spouse and their kids. And when they were asked what would they do differently if they had a second chance, what would they do differently, and a majority of them said that they would actually simplify their lifestyle. And when they simplify their lifestyle, they would start making different choices, because according to them, turns out they did not even need as much money as they were chasing had they just maintained a simple lifestyle. Next one, I wish I had the courage to express my feelings and speak my mind. And this is quite interesting. A lot of us are people pleasers. A lot of us keep a lot of bitterness and resentment inside because we are busy trying to maintain peace with people, and sometimes there are people who may not have added a lot of value to our lives, and yet we keep a lot of these negative emotions inside, and this is truly damaging, not just on a physical perspective but even in a mental perspective and overall health perspective, and we will be speaking about this in our upcoming videos as well. Now, a lot of us live life keeping these feelings or not having this courage to express these feelings, and sometimes it's even in love, not being able to express this love, not being able to say I love you to people who truly mean the world to us. Next regret. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. Now, this is truly an eye-opener, because a lot of us in our journey of finding wealth, in the journey of finding as much money as we possibly can, we gain business partners, we gain colleagues. A lot of us sometimes lose friends in this process, and I was in that danger of making that mistake once till I came to my senses. And this is really true based not just on my experience, research backs this up. So as you can see on this slide, there are two researchers. One is done, quoted by the New York Times, and one which appeared on BBC News, where loneliness leads to poorer physical and mental health, and it is known to be the hidden killer of the elderly. In fact, the AARP, American Association of Retired Persons, came up with this research which says that loneliness is much more lethal than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. This is not, once again, encouraging you to go up and light up a cigarette, but it's just to share with you how damaging loneliness truly is. And ask ourselves, when was the last time you sat and had a conversation with people who truly mean a lot to you, people who have your back, genuinely have your back? And can you really say that you have at least 5 people in this world whom you can trust, whom you could go to when the going gets tough? If your answer is yes, well done. If your answer is I'm not sure, time to evaluate. And if your answer is no, I think we all need to start making different choices. And finally, I wish I had left myself be happier. It's only at that very final stage of life, a lot of these people realize that happiness is a choice. Happiness is something that we choose every single day. A lot of us sometimes think that, oh, you know what, I will only be happy if I have $200,000 in my bank account. I will be only happy if I get that promotion. I'll be only happy if I get a new job. I'll only be happy if this good thing happens to me. I'll be only happy if I get to vacation 3 times a year. And we know that's not true, isn't it? Happiness is a state of mind. Happiness happens every day. It's in that little choices that we do. And if we only realize that now, that material wealth is not the only thing that brings happiness. Happiness that comes from this method is usually very temporary, but the bliss that we are looking for comes internally. This reminds me of a story that I read online a few years ago by this very brave man by the name of Dr. Richard Teo. Now, Dr. Richard Teo was a prominent plastic surgeon in Singapore, and he had it all. He had the good looks, he had sports cars, he dined in Michelin star restaurants. He had everything we considered as success. Just as he was at the pinnacle of his career, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he was at a very terminal stage, and he was given just a few months to live. Dr. Richard Teo was brave enough to share with us a lot of his learnings towards the end of his life. As soon as he was diagnosed with cancer, he just couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it because none of the relatives from his mom's or dad's side had cancer, and he was pretty much the first in the family to go through that very painful experience. And these are the words that he shared with everyone towards the end. And the irony that he thought all his possession was going to give him happiness, but it brought him absolutely no joy. And he also shared with the world that when he was facing death, what really mattered was he only focused on what was essential, which was his loved ones. And the irony is that a lot of times, only when we learn how to die is then we learn how to live. Keeping this in mind, I would like to introduce you to the first tool, which I call your line. Now, as I told you guys earlier, all of us have different lives, all of us have different needs, wants, desires, and it's really challenging to put it in a one-size-fits-all, like you just need this in your life. Now, I mean, some of us aspire to be millionaires or billionaires, and it is okay. It just comes down to balance. How do we find that balance? How do we find this comfortable balance where you can find that happiness and you can still find the success that you're longing for? Now, of course, when it comes to finances, since we are on the topic of finances, as far as finances is concerned, when we don't have enough, naturally, that brings tremendous stress. And it's one area none of us want to experience. Those of us who have been there, done that, know that it can really push you to the brink of depression. And that is far from the line of comfort. And then we have those people who live just nice, we have just enough, we may not have anything in savings, we rely purely on our monthly salaries, and it comes to a point where we just have enough to go by month after month. If there were to be any emergency, we may not have enough to survive that catastrophe. And then there are some of us who probably have been able to find this comfort. Now, what is this comfort line? What is this comfort line as far as finances is concerned? Now, this is an area where I would consider you have found some form of financial comfort. You don't have everything. You probably can't buy the branded bag and shoes that you want, but you have enough in your savings. You have 6 months of your salary saved somewhere, so in times of crisis, if you need it, you can access it. You have a retirement fund set up. You are living a comfortable life, and as you are living life, it is balanced. You get to do whatever you want. You are enjoying comfort of being with friends, with your loved ones. You get to pursue your heart's desires, and you manage to find that ever elusive happiness. Now, these are people who I believe are living in that line of comfort. What about those who want more? What about those who feel that there are times where we need to prioritize finances more than family? What about the times where we have to make that decision? You may need to work weekends, and you may need to miss something. And I'm going to share with you something very personal. If I were to share with you a little bit about my perspective about money, as a business person, life is very different from a lot of other people. So you see, in a year, there are months where we trainers are really busy, and there are months where it's quite slow, near festive periods, towards the year end. And our perspective is always like, make the money when it's there, just make as much money as you can, as you are able to, because there will be months where you really run dry. There'll be months where you may not even have enough income to go by. So there are times where I am forced to make very difficult decisions. And to just give you an example, last year was one such situation where it broke my heart really when I had to miss my little girl's graduation. So of course, she is 6 years old at that point, and you may think like, it's not a big deal, it's just a kiddie kindergarten graduation, but it was big for her, it was big for me, and I really wanted to be there. And I did share this with my participants during that training, because it was a weekend. Everyone had to come in over a weekend in Kuching, and everyone was like, we are here, in a training, in a weekend. And I also shared with them like, hey guys, you know what? Even I have to work this weekend, and it's really breaking my heart to be here because I am missing my daughter's graduation and my son's prize giving day. I have missed my son's prize giving day. And all this was, although it it made me feel really emotional. I knew that I had to make that decision because I had to earn the money for the family. And deep down, although it hurt me, I wanted to be there for her, but I knew I was making the right decision. And it was probably one of those sweetest trainings that I ever attended, where at the end of the training, you know, my participants got my little daughter a card and a gift. And it was such comfort in knowing that I made the right decision, because had I not, I would have never felt that much of love from this bunch of strangers towards my daughter. And some of them I'm still in touch with till today, and they constantly ask about my little girl. And these were the little decisions that to an outside person sometimes it comes as a great shock, like, oh my God, Sri, you know, you preach a lot about balance, and here you are making a decision to go search for money when you are missing a very key moment in your daughter's life. For me, it was a decision made full well knowing what I was missing. I was comfortable with that decision, and I have absolutely no regrets. I came back, I was comfortable, and it all went well. So it always comes down to how much do you want? I know that my earning would bring me enough, to my comfortable enough. I know that whatever I was doing will bring me for my comfort. So to me, it was not always about great financial success where I always wanted to live in a mansion. For me, it was not important. For another person, it may be, and that's perfectly all right. For me, it does not really matter. I never wanted something that was branded and great, and it doesn't mean that if you wish for that, it's a wrong thing to do. Whatever your comfort level, whatever needs you to get to a comfort level, whatever works for you. So that's what we mean really about that line that we are speaking about. To work towards finding this line, this comfortable line. Now, don't let the society or don't let people tell you where your line should be. Don't let people decide for you what is right and wrong, because when we get down that road of listening to someone else is when we will constantly feel our enough is really not enough, and that's where we start making wrong choices. So how much is your enough? What really is enough? And for a lot of people, here comes societal pressure. Now let's say you're a single person. Now for a single person, a lot of us don't really have much expenses. So we may think, for example, 5,000 ringgit is enough. And then comes a stage where you probably find the love of your life and you get married, and now you may start looking at buying a property. Anytime before, after this phase, you may start looking into buying a vehicle, buying a property. And right after all this, you know, society tells you, oh, great, you know, you're married and you have your property now, and oh, it's time to make babies, you know. That's just the cycle of life, isn't it? And then you have your baby. And in my case, as soon as baby number 1 came, immediate societal pressure is, oh, when is baby number 2 coming? And then again, society makes a lot of decisions for us. And right after the fun, the joy of having kids, we want more kids, and all this increases expenses. And it's very interesting in my personal experience, right after my second kid came by, I had a lot of well-wishers who came to me and told me that, hey, the house you are living in right now is too small. And I'm like, why? I'm very comfortable in my 1,300 square feet. And they are like, no, you know, you have 2 kids, each of them need their own room, you know, they need to run around and play. You need to buy a bigger house. And buying a bigger house, that would mean a big mortgage, and that would mean changing my standard of living, and that means working extra hard, and that means now my comfort line is no longer comfortable. I am working much more than required because my material needs has increased. And this is where suddenly also you would realize, like, you know, it's very natural. After 10 years of working, and if you're driving around in a very humble car, people will look at you and say, not earning enough, you know, aren't you making enough at work, or haven't you gotten that promotion? And again, society expects you to be driving around in a certain car, and we feel that pressure when we go around and see our friends who probably graduated the same time as us, working in the same area as us, or working as long as we have been, and they are probably living at a different level of materialism, and suddenly now there's this pressure to match that. And you see, guys, this pressure, one after another, comes from the society, and the question we want to ask ourselves is, what is it that we want? What truly keeps us happy? What is our line? And this is where you've got to decide how much is really enough for you. Is it 5,000? Is it 7,000? How much is your enough? And once you have decided what your enough really is, that's when you start deciding, where do I spend that extra time? What do I do? How do I manage my life? What can I do for passion? What can I do for leisure? What can I do for my loved ones? And every life that is happy has that balance, and this is where the balance comes. Imbalance happens when we spend too much of time in one particular area of life and where another area of life gets neglected. That's the simple mathematical rule of life. Now, here are a few suggestions that I have been following. Number one, for me, I always keep my fixed expenses to a minimum. So if I know that investing in a brand new car is going to cost me 1,000 ringgit extra a month, I would probably work backwards and think, can I truly afford it without breaking the bank? Can I afford it without getting really uncomfortable? Can I do this knowing that I have enough money stacked up in my savings? Like whatever hits, my family is comfortable, savings is comfortable, and everything goes on well. And this is a very simple decision that I made. It came down to a decision if I were to put my kids in a government school or an international school. And at that point, although I felt we could have afforded the fee for international education, again, it came down to choices. So I realized that being a business person, which is with business, it's up and down. We just don't know what would hit. And I decided for myself, at the current income level, what would keep me comfortable and keep my fixed expenses to a minimum is to probably send them to a government school, which is perfectly fine till now. And always take that effort to track your spending. Interestingly, where has your money been going? A lot of us don't even realize how much we spend on leisure. How much do we spend on takeouts? How much do we spend on a lot of things that may not even be useful, like online shopping? How many of us are spending more than 400-500 ringgit per month on a very humble salary? But online shopping became an addiction where you're spending money because something looks good, something is on a 70% discount, and like, oh, it's 70% off, you need to get it. Did you need it in the first place? Those are the questions, the mature questions we need to start asking ourselves. And think about it. In today's world, one of the greatest villains of finances is the credit card. Because a lot of us feel like credit card is that spending power. Credit card is like, doesn't matter whether we have money to pay for it at the end of the month, we have it right now and it gives us, it's a ticket for us to just start spending. And this is where a lot of people, especially younger and younger people nowadays, do not understand. In fact, a lot of young Malaysians are now being declared bankrupt, and a lot of them are being declared bankrupt sometimes because of credit card usage. And why is there this pressure? Because my friends hang out at this place and I need to hang out there too. Doesn't matter if that cafe is more expensive than normal, but I need to be hanging out there to seem cool just like everyone else. I need to buy this bag because I need to fit in with everyone else. And these little dangerous decisions is pushing more and more youngsters spiraling downwards in terms of their managing their own finances. And the next tip that I want to share with you is actually a very simple tip. I tell this to all my participants who always talk about, I don't have enough money, I can't do anything because I'm just earning 7,000 ringgit a month and I have a family of 4 or 5 and it's just right. What can you do to earn more money? What can you possibly do? And this is where I always suggest to most of my participants, earn from your passion. Not all of us have the pleasure of finding a job that is our passion. If you really do, fantastic, you are one of those lucky ones, like me. Some of us don't. Some of us work at a job because it pays the bill, but our true passion may be something else. Now, some of us may be quite good, for example, at gardening. Some of us may be quite good at cooking, at baking, at catering. People who want to get into consultancy. Or what about people who love their job and just want to climb higher and higher in the corporate ladder? Now, as far as money is concerned, wanting to earn more money is concerned, we are living in a day and age where it has gotten much more convenient to make money because we have this special thing called the smartphone. And the smartphone has kept us so connected with people, not just with your friends, but it's literally the whole world. If you have a service or a product, if you have a business idea, it all can reach various groups of people in a very short span of time. So if you feel you are not earning enough money, what are you doing about it? What can you do about it? What idea do you have that can fulfill that shortfall? How much more do you need a month to be comfortable? So I have some participants that I have learned from, and they feel like, hey, you know, Sri, I need 800 ringgit extra per month to be quite comfortable. And they have given me great suggestions. Some of them are really hardworking. Right after they finish work at 5 or 6 o'clock, they continue doing e-hailing services, food services, food delivery services. Some of them go by teaching tuition. Some of them provide reviews online. I never knew that providing certain reviews online earns you money. Opportunities are endless. It is just that who are we? Are we people who take charge of our lives and we are willing to try something new? Or are we the people who prefer to really sit down and give excuses and say, hey, you know why I'm not successful? Because these things happen to me. So again, that is a choice that we make for ourselves, for our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty much the end of our very quick Creating an Iron Strong Mindset series on finances. Now, here comes the fun part. This is the time where I talk to you about your box task. Yeah? So, first things first, I would like you to complete a list that has been sent to you with this video, which basically needs you to fill up this checklist to know whether you are pretty comfortable financially. Have you found your comfort line? And also, for those of you who are interested, if need be, what would be your second income? If you had a chance to choose, maybe now you're thinking like, no, I'm very comfortable with where I am right now. Let's just think about it, hypothetically. If need be, what would be your second income? What passion do you currently have that can become your second income? Now, think about this, put it down in a nice piece of Word document, and submit that completed box task to us at trainingboxmalaysia.com. And upon receiving your box task, I will be evaluating each and every box task personally, and the person who decides how many points you get would be me. Alright, so of course there are two ways of doing the box task. One of you can just do it for the sake of doing it, I just gotta do it, or some of you can put some care and passion into it, and I will know when I see your box task how much effort has gone into it, and I am quite easy to please. So start earning your points. There is an excellent reward coming up as soon as you earn 50 points. So I hope you have enjoyed this edition of Creating an Iron Strong Mindset. Thank you very much for watching this video. I wish you a great day ahead and a lot of financial comfort and success, and may you find that line. All the best, everyone.